Aren't these the guys that got announced in a leak a while back? And I can't comment on it. Let's say it like that. And if you're wondering, aren't these the threads that were posted on Reddit and were constantly deleted by the moderators? I can't comment on that. So the next time if you find out there's some big leak going on and suddenly everyone is just mute and pretends they can't read or see whatever you're seeing, now you know why. Anyways, let's see. Let's check out. What do we have? ST 0.9.7. Unique upgrades. Please note that all information in the development blog is preliminary and subject to change during testing. Any showcased features may or may not end up on the main server. The final information will be published on our game's website. We continue to work on unique upgrades and now we're ready to share some changes to the existing unique upgrades and some new ones. Updating current upgrades. Z52 slot 5. This is the current upgrade. It is pretty bad.
Obviously,
mostly because it doesn't synergize with the Hydra at all.
The floor is salt, the walls are salt.
Added bonus lowering torpedo detectability by 10.
24 Flamer.
Decapo, thank you for the 24. Mr. Bounce, thank you for 4. Alan Go, thank you for the 15 again. Added bonus lowering torpedo detectability by 10%. 10%. Lowering torpedo detectability by 10%. Current torpedo detectability is 1.4. So it goes down to 1.26. So that's pretty stealthy, yes, and because they're pretty fast as well. Sure, it will make them slightly more consistent, but fundamentally I don't think it will actually make the legendary upgrade worth using any more than it is now. It makes the torpedoes better, don't get me wrong, but Z52 is already in a really bad spot. Even with the improved HE DPM the HE penetration buffs that it's gotten recently, Z52 has the equivalent HE DPM of a Shimakaze. It actually does 135,000 HE DPM, which is exactly the same as Shimakaze's HE DPM. So that's already been one of the main issues, and people have been trying to overcome this by building it more as a gunboat so that you can actually fight other DDs, because right now if you run into something like a Daring or Kleber or Kitakaze or basically any other gunboat, you're hopelessly outmatched. So you can somewhat mitigate it if the enemy is a potato and gives you broadside, so you can use Z52 AP instead, because that does pretty good damage. But overall, Z52 is not in a good spot. When they removed the mid-range flak, it also lost its AA viability. And one of the fundamental issues of this upgrade has always been the fact that, well, you lose detectability. And this is actually a significant issue for the Z52.
My ass is blasted.
Zeberico, thank you for the 13 months.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. This is a significant issue, basically. The reason for this is, let me show you. If you build standard Z52. Now the concept of Z52 is obviously it's a big, clumsy ship. It doesn't handle too well. Well, its handles okay, I guess. I'm not really the best, but it's not the worst either. But it's a big ship. And as I mentioned, the DPM is very questionable. So what does the Z52 do well? The Z52 can push into caps and hydro the enemy DD while smoking up itself. There's actually a fair bit of synergy going on here. Basically, you can get your concealment to 6.1. 6.1 concealment is not really that good. But the point of the 6.1 concealment, thank you Rip Shimakaze for the 10, the concept of this is that you synergize it with your hydro. The concealment and the hydro synergizes. That is the concept. So you have 6 km hydro spotting, you have 6.1 km concealment. So the idea is if you push in and you spot another DD, you can basically slow down, smoke and hydro, and you can spot him while being smoked up yourself. And this is the core concept of Z52. This is why it gives up so much torpedo power, it gives up so much gun power, it gives up a lot of things because it has long-range hydro. That's basically Z52 gimmick. The problem with slotting this thing is that when you slot the low profile torpedo tubes, this thing is being changed, so it gives you 10% extra concealment. Well, now your concealment is 6.4. And this means that unless the DD is sailing right towards you when you push into a cap, you're going to be outspotted and kited away so very easily. And this basically kills the synergy of the Hydro Smoke combo, because, well, if a DD is broadside like this and the Z52 pushes in, well, you already start accelerating away before he can even spot you, even with Hydro. And then when he finally spots you, well, you're already running away, and once again, the ship isn't really that fast. You have 37.5 with an 8% speed boost, so you're not going to catch them either. Basically, running this upgrade makes the core gimmick of the Z52 extremely easy to counter. So, the problem with the legendary upgrade has always been that you trade too much and you gain too little in return. And I don't think giving 10% better torpedo concealment is gonna change that in any way. Because, well, you can still just play something like a Holland if you want to have fast, stealthy torpedoes, or basically anything else. So, yeah, I mean, I guess a step in the right direction, but honestly, it's not gonna make the Z52 much scarier to me at all. Basically any other ship can outgun this thing pretty easily. In fact, maybe not Shimakaze. That's like the guy who loses, but then Shimakaze just outspots you. So much for that advantage. So yeah, fundamental issue is still that you give up your gimmick strength for a bit more torpedo power, but your torpedo power was never really that impressive to begin with. Grozovoy, slot 6. Current upgrade. 8% main battery reload, minus 8%, minus 7% main battery traverse speed, and plus 10% torpedo tube reload speed. Torpedo tube reload time penalty increased from 10% to 20%. The unique upgrade offers artillery-focused gameplay. The upgrade was too effective, and the penalty to the main battery traverse speed had no significant impact because of the ship's already good base value. Thus, her torpedo tube reload penalty was increased. In a way, I can kind of agree on that, actually, because Grozovoy's legendary was pretty damn good. If you want to play just gunboat Grozovoy, which it tends to be probably one of the most popular setups right now, it actually makes a lot of sense. Let's see, we do modules. So normally you run concealment. Oh, actually, there are actually people who run rudder shift, but I think concealment is still better. This is for if you're gonna do a lot of long-range kiting shooting, because the shell velocity is so good you can easily do that. But generally we do go concealment, and is recoilless. So our main torpedo tubes is now 129. You don't build for torpedoes, you build it for guns, so it's always going to be 129. So that's actually going to be a pretty hefty increase. If 10% is 13 seconds, then it's going to be, what, 6 seconds more? So it's going to be 155. That's pretty nasty, 155. So that's 2.5 minutes between torpedo volleys. Ultimately though, you didn't really play the ship for torpedoes if you built for the legendary. When you built for legendary, you built AFT and gunpowder and so forth, so honestly, I can kind of see it, because right now the torpedoes, because they're only 10 km range, 10 km range, there we go, they're only 10 km range. Oh, sorry, never mind, shit, that's gonna be, oh no, never mind, it's because I slotted the flag, or slotted the upgrade. Yeah, no worries. So, I think this is a fair change. Right now, pretty much everyone was running the main battery gun upgrade, because guns are just significantly more reliable than torpedoes. They're significantly more consistent, and if you have to fight other gunboats and such, having more DPM is much better than having faster torpedo reload. So this was basically just being ran as an upgrade by pretty much everyone. So I can kind of see it being nerfed, so because the idea is that it's supposed to be a unique playstyle. It's not supposed to be just straight up better than the other two. That's what Wargaming want. They want it to be a side grade, and I do kind of agree that torpedo tube reload time being increased makes it more of a side grade instead of a straight up upgrade. They are Grozo guns. Keep in mind, Grozo guns are actually very, very good. 950 meter per second shell velocity. These guns basically had the best pen in the game until they introduced the Kleber. In fact, these guns have better pen than Kaba. So the AP was actually very, very good. You can Citadel light cruisers, Minotaurs, Neptunes, Smolensk, all of these. You can Citadel them quite easily with Grozovoi guns. So that's why people build it for guns in general. So it does make sense. Same guns as Smolensk before Smolensk. Yes, exactly. So I'm pretty okay with this. Unlike the Z52, they don't miss the mark on the Grozovoi. Alright, let's see, what else do we have? Moskva, current upgrade. This is one of the best upgrades in the game. Reduced dispersion, more range at the cost of traverse, which isn't really an issue because of Moskva's fairly stationary long-range playstyle. So it's getting nerfed. They're nerfing the dispersion from 11 to 7. Main battery traverse speed penalty increased from 13 to 20. And the change to the unique upgrade offers a clear choice between upgrades for damage per minute, for range increase, and for accuracy. Fair enough. Minus 20% traverse. How much are we actually talking about here? So what are we at right now? We are at 32.7. 20% worse is quite significant. It's going to be 40 seconds. More than 40. No, about 40-ish, I guess. That means expert marksman is basically gonna be mandatory. Expert marksman is gonna be mandatory, but then again, you generally built expert marksman on the ship already, so I don't think it's gonna change too much in terms of playstyle. What it will, however, do is make the other upgrades more competitive. The benefit of main battery guns was that it gave you significantly better dispersion, which meant that it was actually more useful than the reload, because basically it gave you the same thing. It gave you more consistent damage, which is in a sense it's better DPM. So it gave you better DPM because you landed more shells, and it also increased your range, which gave you more coverage on the map. So this was absolutely one of the best upgrades in the game. Absolutely one of the top 3 upgrades on my list. Now, with the nerf though, it's very possible that these two will become more competitive. Before this one, people would run range in competitive and reload in random battles. Now it's gonna be, I'm not sure which one is gonna be the best anymore. I'm not sure which one is going to be the best anymore. What is rather confusing, though, is their statement. The change to the unique upgrade offers a clear choice between upgrades for damage per minute. I assume this is the reload bonus. Range increase, this is the range mod. And for accuracy. See, this confuses me. Because if their goal was to make this the accuracy unique upgrade, then why are they not touching the main battery range, but instead touching the dispersion? This makes very, very little sense. If the point was that one of the upgrades is for reload, one is for range, and one is for accuracy, why are they nerfing the unique upgrades accuracy instead of the range benefit that it offers? That actually absolutely makes no sense. Instead, I think they should have been nerfing the main battery firing range and keeping the improved dispersion as it is, because then it's a very clear-cut trade. Do I want range, do I want reload, or do I want accuracy? But now, because they kept the range, but they kind of fiddled with the accuracy, now it's kind of like, well, this one gives 16, this one gives +8, but I get a bit more accuracy with it. Maybe I want to run this one instead. They kind of muddled the whole comparison. Overall, I'm still not entirely sure of their idea of nerfing these, because unique upgrades were kind of the end game, and I was okay with these upgrades being a slight, basically a slight upgrade compared to the average, because you did have to do a lot of games to get this thing. Like, we're talking something like 100 games in your tier 10 ship to actually unlock them, and I like the fact that they were fairly rewarding, because it was a lot of work to unlock them. But now if they make them, well, not really that valuable, there's a whole lot less incentive to actually grind it. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Personally, I like having goals. I like having rewards. I like when I put a lot of effort and time into a game, I get a reward in return. But then on the other hand, I do see their perspective of they want it to be equal and they don't want someone to have an advantage. I don't know. Different philosophies, maybe. Different philosophies, maybe. We'll see. If they keep it consistent, that no single upgrade is a huge upgrade, but instead is a side grade. If it keep it consistent across the board, sure. But sadly, I don't really have that much faith in Wargaming's balancing team. Let's see. Minotaur. Current upgrade. 150% action time to the smoke generator consumable. Plus 10% dispersion shells fired by enemy attacking your ship. Minus 5% to the ship's detectability. Minus 50% smoke screen dispersion time. The point of this upgrade was always to make yourself a meme smoke bot. Like you run this with the other smoke upgrades and you become this massive smoke bot. Remove the bonus which increased dispersion shells by enemies attacking your ship by 10%. Added bonus which lowers the reload time for all consumables by 10%. So they make it even more specialized. The unique upgrade allows the ship to stay in her smokescreen for a significant time while moving at quarter speed, and a bonus to the reload time of her consumables both improves her overall survivability and efficiency and makes the unique upgrade useful with any build. Well, that's very debatable. Making it useful with any build, it's not going to be very useful with radar build, is it? This is smokescreen, this is smokescreen. How is this going to be more useful with radar build? And with radar build, you want better concealment, not minus 5%, so you can ambush them. So, I don't really agree with this part I don't agree with, but I do kind of agree that this makes it more specialized as a smoke bot. So it makes the more meme build even more meme worthy. You got to remember there's a new flag coming up which will increase smoke. Will increase smoke duration by 15%, was it? But like, for those who aren't aware, the Minotaur meme build. The Minotaur meme build, basically, if you're not building radar, if you do use the legendary, the meme build was always built around running the enhanced smoke generator, and then running Hydra, and then running smoke generator mod. This, and then you've run, let's see, then you run things like this thing, and then, well, ideally you have a captain. Where's our special captain? Let's yoink our special captain. Jack Dunkirk. Sure, he'll work. Sure. Alright. The point was always you ran improved jack of all trades. You ran the improved smokescreen expert, which gives you 30% to the radius of the smokescreen. Superintendent, and this, and probably last stand as well, but whatever. We're not doing basically the whole thing. So the concept of this was, your smoke screen has an action time of almost 50 seconds. It lasts for 1.5 minutes, and the action radius is 800 meters. So you make an 800 meter wide smoke. It does have a reload of about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So this is basically the meme build, and this was pretty nasty if you built it with things like Worcester or basically any radar ships or whatever, because you can kind of hide an entire team behind this smoke. This was the meme build, and it's kind of funny. I kind of liked it. It wasn't very common because it's not that effective, but for the memes it was pretty funny. So changing these things now, that instead of giving 5% detectability, it gives you faster consumable usage, is perfectly okay. It synergizes perfectly fine with the smoke meme build. The idea that this somehow works with every build, though, is complete nonsense. I don't know what the hell they're talking about when they say that it'll work with every build. It most certainly will not work with every build. That sounds like complete nonsense. It will work exactly with that specific build, it will work better. But with everything else, nah. Not detectability. Oh, sorry, yeah. It improved this dispersion with shells fired. Regardless, though, the idea that this somehow makes the unique upgrade useful with any build is just nonsense, because if you run that, you're not running your 10% concealment, which is what you run with radar Minotaur. Zaot, also one of the best upgrades in the game. Minus 20% rudder shift, 7% maximum dispersion of main battery shells, 8% main battery firing range. Remove the bonus which lowered rudder shift time by 20%. First of all, I really have to question nerfing Zaot in the current state. Zaot's one gimmick, like Zaot's big selling point was for a long time that it had that 30mm plating, which meant that it was fairly resistant against battleship AP. That was back in the day. With all the 457mm guns and larger, the armor is basically meaningless, which is why Zaot's health pool of only 40k is very, very vulnerable these days. And they're even adding more 457s like Vermont, which was recently announced. So having the rudder shift for this, and giving the range, the rudder shift, and the dispersion allowed the Zaot to play further back, which is something the Zaot actually really, really needed because of the squishiness, because of the issue of no health and armor no longer being as useful. So the whole concept of lowering Zaot's efficiency is already raising some red flags with me, because Zaot is not really in a good state. In fact, if we look at any recent competitive tournaments, King of the Sea, Clan Battles, Warships Masters Invitational, no one plays Zaot. No one plays Zaot anymore. So, the upgrade was too universal, empowering different parameters of the ship. In its current form, the unique upgrade will be effective for playing in the open water using long range of main caliber guns. See, I can agree that this upgrade was too good. It was better than the other two upgrades. But on the other hand, maybe I'm biased, but I personally think the Zaot also needed it, because Zaot has been power crept really, really badly. So if they're gonna nerf this legendary upgrade, then they should also at the same time buff Zaot itself. Zaot really needs some help right now. Zaot is in a pretty poor state. I don't care what the spreadsheet says. Just take a look at any competitive tournament and you'll find that no one plays Zaot. And the more they add 457mm guns, the less useful Zaot will become. When two overpens or two pens from a Georgia does about 10k damage and you have 40k, like in the Zaot, it's not exactly fun to play it. It has the best pen as well? What do you mean? What has the best pen? Zaot most certainly does not have the best pen if you're talking about Zaot. Neither AP nor HE is in any way special. Anyway. The new Italian BB. Oh, yeah, okay. That's not what we were talking about. Yamato. Another upgrade that was exceptionally good. One of the reasons why people in fact wanted to grind the Yamato was because Yamato with Legendary is very enjoyable to play. Because you can stack this 7% dispersion with the other 500,000 dispersion upgrade and give yourself pinpoint accurate shells. Well, not pinpoint accurate considering the vertical dispersion on the Yamato is dreadful, but significantly more accurate than otherwise. Remove the bonus which lowered the main battery reload by 6%. Main battery traverse speed penalty reduced from 19 to 13. This upgrade gave two bonuses, DPM and accuracy, and it was too effective. After the changes, the unique upgrade will offer a clear choice between these two parameters. So, dispersion versus reload. I think everyone will go for the dispersion. This seems actually pretty okay. I like that they didn't mess with the dispersion, because that was literally the whole point of the upgrade. This is not that bad. I mean, it will make it less effective, but once again, if their goal is to make these things side grades, this thing was absolutely too effective. Everyone ran this. This Zaot, Moskva, and Yamato were like my top 3 legendary upgrades. Everyone ran this because better dispersion on battleship guns and better reload. That's literally exactly what you want, especially on 460mm guns. And this means you can still combine this plus this, both of which gives you 7% reduced dispersion. You lose the reload, but it's not really going to be the end of the world. You lose the reload, so you're going to have, your reload is going to be what? Instead of 28.2 seconds, it's going to be 30. But in return, you're going to have faster turret traverse. Instead of having, let's see, instead of having stock turret traverse of 52.5, you're going to have stock turret traverse of 49.9. So you gain almost 6 seconds turret traverse. I'm not too bothered. This is once again, if their goal is to make it a side grade and not a direct upgrade, then this is kind of keeping with it. Unlike some of the others, this one makes a fair bit of sense. Right, let's check out the next one. Daring, new upgrade. Daring slot 5, minus 10% to the torpedo tube reload time, plus 15% to the maximum torpedo damage. Currently, Daring is a versatile destroyer with a slight edge to an artillery-focused playstyle. Unique upgrade will suggest shifting that edge towards torpedoes. With this upgrade, she will thrive further away from caps, with an emphasis on torpedoes and attacks from within smoke. Okay, so this one is just shit. To put it quite simply, this one is complete trash. First of all, Daring's greatest strength is the fact that it has absolutely obscene DPM, while at the same time having great concealment. This is what makes it such a top tier DD duelist. It's what makes it so incredibly good. So one of the core points of the Daring is you combine insane DPM with great concealment. So the thing is, if you guys didn't notice, this legendary upgrade, this is slot 5. This means it goes instead of your concealment. So you lose your 10% concealment. Okay, that's, I mean... And the whole idea that one of their selling points for the ship was you can play further away from the caps. Why would Wargaming want to encourage that? Like, the carrier planes already encourage you to play further away from the caps. Radars already encourage you to play further away from the caps. Do we really need DD builds themselves that encourage playing further away from the cap? Kratos Verikov, thank you for the 20. So, what you would have concealment right now would be 6.6 kilometers. Yikes. 6.6 kilometers. Yikes. Let me just double check. It gave you minus 10% to the torpedo reload. Our torpedo reload is 125 seconds, so we get 12.5 away. So we're still talking about 110? Sorry, 112 plus 0.5? 112.5. It's gonna round it to 113, I guess. So, what? So you would what, build full torpedo build? But the whole idea of building a Daring full torpedo build when you have 10 kilometers torpedoes is so incredibly questionable. Why would you ever do that? Why wouldn't you just play a real torpedo boat instead? It increased the torpedo damage by 15%. So we go from 17k to what? We go to almost 19k? Once again, why would you still do that? 19 point something, I think. 19 and scratch on the torpedo damage. So, well, what is the point? Everything else about the Daring makes it exceptionally good at gunboating. Like, this ship is designed for gunboating. It's got the forward-facing gun angles, incredible two forward-facing turrets. It's got great DPM. It's got improved angles on the AP, which makes the AP extremely powerful against other destroyers. It's got fast reloading smokes, heals that allow you to sustain in gunfights against other ships, and Hydro, which means you can't get torped in the smoke and you can even aggressively push some DDs in their smokes with the Hydro. It is through and through a DD duelist. Building this thing for torpedoes, I mean, it's completely ridiculous. And once again, I guess if their goal is to make it a side grade that offers a different playstyle, sure, but I don't think the trade-off is nearly enough to justify it. I really don't think it makes it nearly. It's a straight up in terms of competitive perspective or like min-maxing perspective. This is a straight up downgrade. This is making your ship objectively worse. Kleber. What? Minus 20% to ship's detectability. This is slot 6, so it stacks with the minus 10% in slot 5. Plus 80% to main battery reload time. The unique upgrade offers an alternative to Kleber's artillery-focused gameplay. High-speed, close-range torpedo boat with quick torpedo reload. The ship's detectability will be comparable to that of other destroyers at the same tier, but the ship will lose a significant part of our artillery damage per minute. Wait. What is... Okay, first of all, what is Kleber's base concealment? Kleber's base concealment is 9.9. So what do we have to... We have to do 0.9 x 0.8 x 0.97 because camo, and what is it, 9.9 gives us a concealment of... Wait, hold on, that can't be right. That can't be right. That seems shit. .2. Oh wait, I forgot there needs to be 2 0x9s. Fuck shit. I forgot there needs to be 2 0x9s. There we go. Yeah, 6.222. Missing one 0.9. You're right. I keep like 6.2 kilometers. Like the thing is, Kleber actually has pretty insane torpedoes. These torpedoes are stupidly fast. Okay, first of all, you would build it for... Well, you would build it for torpedoes then. You would absolutely build it for torpedoes then. So you'd build this, and you would build... Torp reload, Kleber. So what are we talking about there? We're talking about... 69-second reload. Guns will be absolute trash. Absolutely. Torpedo detectability is 1.8, which is the same as Shima's, but there are 79 knot speed. They hit like an absolute truck. This is the kind of build that will be great as long as there's very little other DDs around, as long as there's no radar, and as long as there's no carrier spotting you. That's a fair bit of ifs.
You're not known to be a...
That's a fair bit of ifs.
I wonder...
I think I am actually humble. I think I'm much more humble than you would understand.
The thing is though...
So hyped for thick American farm boats.
Officer Kling, thank you for the 6 months. And ultimately that just makes you more torpedo focused at the all cost to gunpowder though. 80% to 77 seconds, that's gonna be like what, 13-second reload on the main guns? 13.3 I think? No, 12 point, so sorry, it's 80%, not 90. 12.6? 12.6 I think. It's 12.6 second reload on main guns, which basically means even with reload booster, they're gonna be a complete meme. The thing is though, the Kleber can already stealth torpedo. Stealth. Kleber can almost already stealth torpedoes. Kleber can get the concealment down to 7.8 and drop 8 km torps. In fact, if you try to push into a Kleber, Kleber is exceptionally good at just torping the shit out of you without even using its guns. So this is very, very debatable. This looks like a straight up downgrade again. Just a straight up, because right now Kleber is surprisingly versatile, flexible. It can play in a lot of different. It can both torpedo boat, it can gun boat. It's not that good against carriers, but it's generally very effective all round. It can fight light cruisers. This build makes it very, very one-dimensional, where you will be bullied by DDs hard, you will be bullied by radar hard, and you're only really good at dropping your 8 km torps. It's kind of like a really, really shitty Benham. Yeah. No, this one looks like a straight up downgrade. This one looks like it will offer a different playstyle, sure, but it looks like a straight up downgrade. I'm not seeing the advantages here at all. Let's see, Harugumo. Harugumo finally gets one. Plus 30% to smoke dispersion time, plus 100% to smoke generator action time, plus 1 consumable charge. Slot 5. Unique upgrade improves the main playstyle of the ship at cost of detectability and lowered efficiency in fighting for key areas. This is not necessarily that bad. This is not necessarily actually that bad. This could actually work. Because Harugumo is... First of all, I never build Harugumo concealment. Because Harugumo, even if you build it full concealment, you get it down to 6.2 kilometers, which is absolute ass. And even at 6.2 kilometers, you're stuck with shit speed, shit turning radius, and huge size that eats full battleship AP pens. So trying to play in any way aggressive in the ship never worked. In fact, my classic Harugumo build was always something like... We built like this, I think. Let's see, I built like... No, I didn't even build survivability. My classic Harugumo build was something like... This was my classic Harugumo build. You don't know concealment, because concealment is useless. You can't contest anyway. You just build it as full gunboat. And then you sit back and farm with 37mm pen, plus with flags like... What is it? 6.5% fire chance and 15 km range. This was always how I played it. So not having access to concealment might not really be the worst thing. The question is, once again, is this the type of gameplay we want to encourage further? Less contesting, less close range fighting, more sitting in a smoke and farming? Because that's what we're gonna see. More smokes, more farming. I'm not sure how much this is something we actually want to see. 30% smoke dispersion time, 100% action time. So 30% to smoke dispersion time means your classic smoke from 97, it's going to be almost 130 seconds. 130 seconds that's American smoke. Yeah, that's American smoke. So you get American smoke duration on the Harugumo. And the action time goes up from 20 to, what was it, 100%? So 40. It might even make this thing worth slotting, which gives you another 30 on top of that. So you can maybe get a 1 minute crawling smoke almost, crawling around and farming, and you can smoke up your team. I can see this working. I can see this actually being a perfectly viable build. The question is, of course, is this really something I'd like to see in the game? Crawling Harugumos sitting at 15 kilometers, farming me non-stop with this incredible DPM, and yeah, how much fun is that actually to play against? That's a good question. I mean, it looks like absolute Ebola, but objectively, I could see this being viable. I could see this working. Absolutely. Even more important is with the improved smoke duration, improved smoke time. If you get radared and you still have it active, you can just sail away out of the radar and then continue smoking yourself. Like, it gives it a shit ton of survivability while shooting. Well, we'll see. But that one I'm gonna say is absolutely viable. Pretty Ebola. Don't get me wrong. Pretty damn Ebola, but absolutely viable. Harugumo mod seems like it was made for the new USB line. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Oh yeah, and the 15% action time flag that they're adding a flag that gives you 15% smoke time. Yikes! Talk about moving the game in kind of the wrong direction. Kremlin! We finally get a Kremlin legendary. Big impulse.
I think I am actually humble.
Thank you for the
I think I'm
3
much more humble
months.
than you would understand.
Minus slot 6, minus 18% to
New
main battery
update
reload.
incoming. Legendary modules for Japan's aircraft carriers. Enabling kamikaze planes. Kek. www.comrade kappa.
Okay, thank you, Big Impulse. 18% to main battery reload time, minus 12% to main battery firing range, minus 1 charge. This one seems pretty shit. This one seems pretty shit. This one is probably absolutely not worth it. Let's see. Minus 8. First of all, it goes in slot 6. It goes in a slot 6. In slot 6, we're already going to be running main battery mod, which gives us minus 12% reload. So this one would give us, the actual benefit this thing gives us is, well, we don't have to deal with the main battery traverse speed, but that's not an issue at all on the Kremlin, because it's got incredibly fast turret traverse, so 12% of something that's, or minus 13% on something that's incredibly fast is not really a big deal at all. So this is essentially just a 12% main battery reload time boost, a straight up upgrade. The legendary gives us 18, so that means we get 6% faster reload than we already have, and it comes at the cost of 12% main battery firing range. This will put us at what, 18 kilometers? 18.2? That is very, very low for tier 10, and it will steal one of our consumables. And this is actually a bit of an issue because Kremlin, unlike something like most other battleships, actually has 1 less heal already. It starts with 3. Superintendent adds 4, but then this legendary would steal it back down to 3 again. It also steals a damage comp. So 4 and 3 basically is what you would end up with Superintendent. That is trash. That is objectively trash. Supposedly more aggressive playstyle, I'm not seeing it. I'm really not seeing it. The reload bonus is not gonna be enough. I mean, with how short the games are, there might be times where you might absolutely get some benefit out of it. But in general, building the legendary is basically, you're hoping the game ends quickly. Because if it doesn't, well, then you're gonna lose efficiency quickly. Yeah, I guess I could work in competitive. I mean, maybe if your plan is like rush down a flank really quickly, but
It's Rick the Bleak lag mod all over again.
The trade-offs are too brutal. Trade-offs are just too brutal. Not worth it. Especially since Kremlin's long-range accuracy is actually pretty good, because the vertical dispersion is so good, so it can absolutely blab ships at 20 kilometers easy. So losing that down to 18. Yikes. And no. Would not run. Would not run. Simple as that. I would not run. Modernization offers a more aggressive playstyle. Like with how slow or with how fast the games are these days, with how many steamrolls we have one way or another. Sure, it might have some use. And if you're a co-op player, sure, it's probably great. But in general, no. The one thing Kremlin already kind of struggles with is both range and consumables. One of the few things it actually struggles with. It's such a monster ship. So nerfing those things at the cost of 6% reload is a terrible idea. Keep in mind that Kremlin actually has really, really good survivability, especially if you have Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov often gives you a chance to use an additional heal if you're under fire. You're being shot, you damage gone, you get fires again. Kuznetsov procs gives you a heal, and then that buys you time to use yet another heal. Like, Kuznetsov is really, really broken on Kremlin, so now you might end up in a situation where Kuznetsov procs, but then you're out of heals or something similar. Just, no. Audacious. I like the potential concept, don't get me wrong. I like the concept, but this needs to be better to justify it. Audacious. Minus 15% to ships detectability. Not planes, ships detectability. 20% to engine boost duration. That's for the planes then. Minus 50% to the engine to reach full power. Minus 30% rudder shift time. Unique upgrade allows the ship to be closer to the enemy, thus increasing the frequency of plane attacks. But the risk of being detected and becoming the target of focus fire is also increased. What the fuck? Wait, it goes in slot 6. It goes in slot 6. Where the hell is my Audacious? So instead of running 7.5% aircraft health, which allows you to get more strikes in, or giving them more speed, which kinda allows the plane to reach the target faster. What the fuck? Seriously, what the hell, man? It's the Des Moines mod. It's the Des Moines upgrade. So they want you to push in this thing? I mean, carriers are exceptionally tanky at long range. Because at long range, basically all the shells land on the armored deck. And they have no superstructure, so you end up getting a lot of bounces and shit. But an Audacious pushed up is just gonna explode. There's gonna be so many idiots pushing up in this thing and dying. $9.9 km conceal Audacious. I mean, it's trolly, but how much is it really worth it? I could see it being worth it without pushing up. You're gonna be hard. What I think is gonna happen is people who run this module, they're not actually going to be pushing up and playing aggressive.
Sorry, meant to do that after patch note reading. Have a good one, mate. Tie for content.
Yeah, thank you, Big Gambus, for 150. See, I think people are not going to be using this to play more aggressive in the carrier. What is actually going to happen is people are going to slot that module, and then at the end of the map, they're going to be humping the border, and no one is going to be able to find them, and everyone is going to suffer a bit more. But ultimately, he's still going to be get spotted by the enemy carrier. So I don't think anyone who slots that is actually going to play aggressive. Like, maybe the few guys that are already like really good at CVs would be able to wield it, but the average player is going to sit either stationary or at the edge of the map and going to be impossible to find until your own carrier comes in and finally spots them. This is a mod that I could see fitting the German CVs, thanks to their tankiness. Like, this is a mod that could be great on German carriers, but Audacious? I don't really understand. See, the problem with this mod is Wargaming assumes that the average Audacious or carrier player is going to be looking at the minimap, and that basically never happens. So yeah, I don't see how that's really gonna add much. The guys who are good at CV probably won't take Audacious in the first place. Yeah, they'll just take Hakuyu instead. If you're good at CV, you don't play Audacious, pretty much. This is such a weird thing, though. This is such a weird change. Because once again, a really good rudder shift doesn't actually help carriers that much because they have such poor turning circle. It's the classic case of your turning circle can't keep up with your great rudder shift. And that's what we're gonna see here as well. Where's the downside to this mod? The fact that it goes in slot 6. Midway. Slot 6. Plus 10% to bomber's cruising speed. Plus 10% to HE bombs damage. This is gonna be so much fun for DD players for DD players when they're facing a good midway who knows how to drop them with the dive bombers. This is gonna be so much fun. That's gonna be so much fun. Holy shit. It's not bad enough that the bombs basically one-shot you already. Now it's gonna be even worse. And I mean, these things already do like something like 20, if you get a good drop in on a battleship, it's like 20k HE. Now they're even faster, so less flak damage and more damage. Jesus. Unique upgrades were supposed to be side grades? Yeah. Straight up damage increase. Straight up damage increase, actually. How is that? Instead of generally improving all planes types, the use offers an emphasis on bombers. Oof. Hakuryu. Plus 15% maximum plane speed. Minus 20% engine boost duration. Best effect the unique upgrade will have is directly before an attack by significantly increasing the plane speed and lowering the time they spend in the AA zone. At the same time, the distance covered with engine boost active remains roughly the same as without the unique upgrade. What is the fucking downside then? It affects all planes and lowers the time they spend in AA zone. What the fuck? Jesus. It goes into slot 6. I could see it being a downside that you're trading health for speed, but in World of Warships, the additional speed also means less time spent in AA, which basically directly translates to survivability. So these are faster. These are just faster and it's gonna be even nastier to deal with. Jesus. It says maximum speed instead of cruise speed? Yeah, I know, but I mean, that means when you use your boost, it's gonna be much more effective. Why is like, how about deletes AP bombers from the game permanently? Yikes. I don't know. A lot of these upgrades seem to just be less enjoyable to play against or to play. Like Zaot. Do I really want to play a clumsier Zaot in 30mm Aura match World of Warships? Do I? What is daring? What the hell is this? Kleber, what the hell is this? Harugumo? Do we really want to play against this thing? It sounds dreadful. Kremlin, what the hell is this? Audacious one is also so weird. The only one that made any sense was like the Grossovoy one. The Moskva one was also so weird because they were supposed to be a clear choice between damage per minute, range increase, and accuracy, and then they nerfed the accuracy but kept the range increase. What the hell, man? A lot of really questionable changes. A lot of really, and this one, what the hell? Yikes. Yikes. The question is though, with these, so many of these upgrades being changed into basically rather poor side grades, who the hell is gonna grind them? I don't even know which ones I would recommend anymore. Maybe Grozovoy still, because it's so much more of a gunboat, but Z52 one is trash, obviously. Just weird, man. Just weird, man. Yamato one is still worth grinding. Grozovoy one is still worth grinding. What else is there? Harugumo one might be worth getting. It seems viable. Like, it absolutely seems viable for it. Might make the Harugumo relevant again. But it's gonna be Ebola to fight against it. Like, holy crap, it's gonna be Ebola to fight against that.